Welcome back. Just a reminder, the $66 million woman of juice and burger fame, Janine Allis, she'll be on the couch a little later in the show. But now time for our all-star Sunday night panel. Prue McSween, New South Wales Liberal Senator Holly Hughes, and the man who only has one thing on his mind tonight, which is a freedom lunch sometime in the week, former Labor Minister Graham Richardson. Am I right, Richo?
You are indeed, of course.
Yes. We're all salivating about that. I like the T-shirt too.
I will not
Holly.
be forthcoming with the details, however.
No. You don't have to tell us. You've got your T-shirt, your Vax T-shirt on.
Yeah, so vaxshop.com, a couple of girls who lost their jobs during the pandemic set this business up, and they give 25% of proceeds to not-for-profit Mind Blank, which is great on World Mental Health Day.
Good.
But you can get your T-shirts, your caps, your sweats, and let everyone know you're back.
All right, I've been wearing my cap. Thank you very much for that too, by the way. A leading psychiatrist has warned that political bickering between state leaders is fueling psychological distress and social disintegration in Australia. Professor Gordon Parker blames the 30 to 50% increase in the number of people presenting to hospital suffering purely from stress at the feet of our leaders. Prue, would you agree that there's a link here?
Absolutely. I think the word is contempt that we have for the political shenanigans of a lot of these so-called leaders, the lack of leadership, the fact that they're putting their political gain ahead of the national interest and their community interest is really contemptible. And I just think as we watch from the sidelines and see the lies, the obfuscation, the excuses, the employment of police, as we heard, earlier in the show, to become bully boy, activists for politicians. We need positive, strong people who are leading us in the right direction, providing a guiding light. And sadly, we're not seeing it. And I understand why people are having these psychological repercussions.
Yeah, Holly, we've never seen more division between premiers and chief ministers, probably in our history.
Yeah, no, and it's incredible to see. And I think when we look at mental health and the struggles that people have, a lot of that's based around uncertainty and the inability to know what the future holds. And of course, the pandemic itself has been challenging. But when you've got premiers who agree to a national plan and then walk away from it, you've got families and friends that are being torn apart and businesses unsure how they're going to survive when there's no guarantee. And I mean, New South Wales is going to open up tomorrow at 70% double vax for vaccinated people. They've said they're going to open up and in 2 more weeks for 80% when we hit that mark. ACT has said they're going to open up on Friday and their vaccinations are through the roof. It's giving people certainty. And it's the fact that people in WA, people in Brisbane, people in South Australia, these people have businesses that sometimes actually involve travelling interstate. We've seen even on the weekend people saying they couldn't get to their mother's funeral from New South Wales to Canberra because their exemptions were denied. These sorts of things are unacceptable. We need to start opening up the borders, especially for double vaccinated people. But when there is a national plan that's agreed to around 80% double vaccination rate, that's it. And the premiers that let their state, the constituents in their states down, really do have questions to answer in the angst and mental health struggles that they're contributing towards their states.
At the next election, hopefully. Now, Richo, a hate preacher who led a plot to sail a tinny all the way to the Philippines to join a terrorist group, claims he's changed his religious and ideological beliefs. The fellow's name is Robert Serantonio. He's serving a 7-year sentence for leading the group of 6 tinny terrorists, but has penned a letter to a friend denouncing his strongly held views. How far do you trust this bloke, Richo?
Well, about as far as you can throw him. You can't trust these people, and it's too big a risk. Why should you bother? I mean, if he's acting, as he may well be, and you let him out, then he's a danger to everyone. So I just think you keep the bugger in jail forever. I don't want to hear about him.
Yeah, the idea that you would write a letter to a friend when you know mail is intercepted from jail is just, come on. It's worse a stunt than what he tried to do going to the Philippines in a tinny. Prue, it's one thing to organise a stupid and dangerous boat trip to join a terror group, but this bloke preached hate against this country for years prior. Prue, can you hear me? You can't hear me. Sorry.
Scott.
That's okay. I want to get to Donald Trump. The more America sees of Donald Trump, the more his popularity numbers rise. There he was in Iowa, feted and fated as usual, and still complaining about that rigged election. But I noticed Greg Sheridan in The Australian has written Donald is getting closer and closer to returning to the White House. Holly, it would be his greatest revenge, wouldn't it?
Look, I think so. And I think what Biden is proving day after day is his absolute incompetence, and the disapproval rating that he's experiencing so quickly into his first year in office is really something to behold. And I think all the media that was cheering on Biden as the great hero are probably starting to eat their words a little bit. I think Trump at the moment is certainly the Republican frontrunner. America, though, is a deeply divided country at the moment and will continue to be so. And the Trump side of things, I think, contributes to that. I personally would like to see America start to look to the future, maybe rather than looking back, and look at someone like Nikki Haley, who's proven that she can bring people together and really contribute in an intellectual way to international policy, to domestic policy, and to as reasonable debate.
What about Pompeo and Pence?
Look, I mean, Pence is so on the outer at the moment.
Yeah.
But Trump just seems to have a clear run right through the Republican base at the moment. The GOP doesn't seem to want to stand up to anybody else, and anyone that's not being endorsed by Trump heading into the midterms doesn't seem to be getting the endorsement of that grand old party. So he's certainly the front runner, but it'll depend on how things play out over the next. I mean, we're still a couple of years away. We're 950 days nearly till the Iowa caucus for the Republicans. So there's a ways to go. But I would like to see the US start to come together. It really has been a very, very divided country over the past few years. And I think perhaps a return to Trump won't contribute to that unity.
OK, Richo, we know what you think of Trump, but you've got to admit Biden's incompetence is playing directly into Trump's hands, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, to some extent. I mean, I think Biden's certainly going to be beatable at the next election, but I still can't believe that Donald Trump would get a second term. I mean, he was so bad in his first term. How could you possibly give him a second one? It just doesn't stack up. I don't have so little faith in Americans that I can believe that they'd cop him twice. They made a mistake once. Surely they learnt the lesson.
All right, you three, what's planned? I want to know what's planned for Freedom Week. Prue, we've got you back. Audio's working. I bet you've got a few lunches planned this week.
I have, but also I heard about that cheeky little Irish breakfast with Guinness starting at 10. So that might be my first stop. Then obviously I desperately need the hairdresser, the nails, maybe even a little stop at a Brazilian. You never know.
Too much information.
Well, you asked.
Holly, you?
A very long lunch is planned tomorrow with about 12 or 13 gorgeous friends. And I've also given all my staff a day off if they promise to go and have lunch in a pub, club or restaurant that was closed due to the lockdown to do our bit to get the New South Wales economy going again.
All right. And where are you having your Chinese food, Richo? Come on.
I think I might just have to make it to the Century again.
Yes, exactly.
Although I've got to say, there is a chance I'll be at the 18-footers because the chowder at the 18-footers gets me every time.
Well, there you go. It's great to look forward to something that people in New South Wales who are vaccinated can. Prue McSween, Senator Holly Hughes, Richo, thank you. Have a